Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mongoolie Show. We got a bunch of kits to go over in the weekly blog, including the Lord of Lies himself, Mephisto, so let's raise some hell. That's better, now let's get our Satan on, yeah! Oh, hey, real quick, Legal just wanted me to point out that Mephisto is not actually Satan, despite the fact that he rules hell, looks like the devil, and occasionally calls himself Satan. Not the Christian Satan, or the Christian hell. Despite the fact that they're the exact same. And they're both fictional. Anyways, let's get back to it. All right, we've got 4 amazing kits to go over. Well, 3 and Namor. So let's get right into it. I'm going to say, though, we're going to go over this relatively quickly. So if you want a really deep dive, go check out Doolim's video. I actually really like that one. He goes really in depth. But we're just going to go to skim over it and tell you the kind of the important parts. So first off, we got Mephisto. He's going to be a villain, cosmic, mystic, protector, mythic. Going to get those confused. With a speed of 127. So already really good speed. His basic, and you're going to see this a lot in his kit, will reduce the maximum health of the target by the same amount of damage that you deal to them. So let's just say, for the sake of math, that your opponent has 100 life and you deal 50 damage to them. Well, normally you would have 50 life out of 100. Now you're going to have 50 life out of 50, which means if you heal that character, it doesn't do anything. So it's just a way of negating healing after you deal damage to them, which is really cool. And a lot of his attacks do this, so get used to that. If any attack crit, you're going to gain regeneration for 2 turns, which is amazing. You're going to gain an immunity for a maximum of 3, and if this character has ability block, it always crits, which means you'll always be in those 3 regeneration, which is amazing. It's also unavoidable, which is great. His ISO 8/counterattack/assist is basically the exact same thing. Now, as far as his special goes, it's called Hellfire Blast. It only costs 3, so you're probably going to do this quite a bit, assuming your enemies can survive that long. Among other things, when you attack, you're going to be clearing 3 positive effects and applying trauma for a turn. This character cares about your Ghost Riders, all 3 of them, and they're all going to flip negative effects to positive effects, heal, as well as gain speed bar. I love this part. If this character has any hero allies, apply taunt for 2 turns for all hero allies. That's so thematic, I love it. What you're saying is, Mephisto is going to sacrifice your heroes before your villains. He's going to try and get your heroes killed. I don't know. That just rubs me the right way. You're also going to mind control the enemy with the highest damage to attack the primary target. Controlling characters gain a 50% damage. So you're not only going to take the character on the enemy side, who is the biggest threat, you're also going to make them an even bigger threat and then turn them against themselves. That's phenomenal. And remember, this is only 3 a cost and you get 3 energy right away. So you're going to do this turn 1 if you want, but you're not going to, and I'll explain why. And you can do this probably multiple times in a turn. And that's on top of the attack you're already doing. This is just bananas. Now, his ultimate is a 6 cost, and you only start with 3, so you're not going to be able to do this right away. But it is really good. For each mythic enemy, you're going to apply a vulnerable, flip immunity, and apply 2 ability blocks. Or sorry, ability block for 2 turns, my bad. You're also going to apply trauma for 2 turns. It doesn't have to be mythic for that, just in general. And you're going to land the Mark of Mephisto, which is an area effect, on a battlefield effect, where you're going to gain 50% drain and armor. Allies cannot gain trauma. Allies cannot have their speed bar reduced. And this battlefield effect lasts until it is cleared or the end of the match. His passive in the details say that this character, as well as literally everybody in the battlefield, cannot be revived as long as he's alive. Now, if you've got revive and you're able to kill their Mephisto before they kill you, you will come back after that, is my understanding. But if Mephisto's standing, when you fall, you stay fallen. On his spawn, if he's not a clone and doesn't have exhausted, he's going to gain 666% speed, and if you got a mythic enemy, you're going to gain charged. Also, assuming you're not cloned or exhausted, you're also going to become empowered, and that means you're going to get a bunch of different attacks that we'll go over in a second. But it's also worth noting that any non-summoned death, your opponent's, yours, whatever, is going to give you 1 charge, and for each one of those charges, you're going to gain 10% armor, damage, focus, and resistance. That's really good. Enemies can't gain stealth, which is phenomenal, because there's sometimes you just want to kill something and they go into that stealth mode and you have to leave them alone, and that's so frustrating. So it's nice, your enemies won't be able to gain stealth. You can just pick at the enemy you want to and just pick away at them and make sure that they go down. Now, your empowered basic is kind of insane for being just a basic. You're going to attack primary target for 50% of their max health, and whatever that damage is, you're going to take away their health. So you're just going to literally cut their life bar in half, and that's what they've got for the rest of the match. Just insane. You're also going to apply 2 vulnerables, so other characters will be able to hit them to double tap them, as well as other things that we'll go over soon. You're going to gain 3 charge, and you will lose empowered. Now, all the empowered abilities, you're going to lose empowered. That's just par for the course, but that seems really, really strong. With the empowered ISO 8 counter assist, if you crit, you're going to gain 3 regenerations. You're going to gain an immunity all the time, and again, if you have an ability block, you always crit, so that's really, really good. Your special, you're going to apply expose to the primary target and adjacent enemies, as well as all mythic enemies, so pick your target carefully on that one. You'll gain a charge as well as some other stuff. Your empowered ultimate is going to apply exhausted to all enemies. Now, just a quick refresher, that decreases armor, damage, focus, and resistance by 20%, and while increasing incoming damage per 20%, and it can stack on itself. So if you do this a couple of times, you're just wrecking face. It's going to be ridiculous. Now, his empowered passive is a little bit interesting. It's got the same thing in it where you can't be revived and your enemies and allies can't be revived, but also when you lose empowered, a bunch of great stuff's gonna happen, including you're going to gain safeguard, defense up, offense up, apply 3 death proof to self and all of your allies. You're gonna apply trauma, defense down, offense down, and 3 bleed to all of your enemies, and you're going to apply the Mark of Mephisto to the allied side, which is so dumb. Now, Mephisto's obviously the big news, but on top of that, we've also got the Cabal team. Now, this might actually be more exciting for some people, because if you're like me, I'm not going to get my hands on Mephisto for a long time, like months and months. I just got Super Skrull to 7 stars like 5 days ago. So I am not looking forward to Mephisto anytime soon, although I'm definitely going to be working towards that. I want to try and get Mephisto faster than I got Super Skrull. But the Cabal, I'm going to get my hands on real quick, and they look very interesting. They're going to be a Cosmic Crucible team, and it's going to be Iron Patriot, the Leader, and Namor, a rework for Namor. Now, this is a 3-person team, so don't expect 2 more members anytime soon, but who knows what the future can hold. Now, as far as Iron Patriot goes, he's going to be a villain global tech blaster Cabal with a speed of 119. He's going to do a whole bunch of things that give vulnerables out to his opponents, so that's really good. His ISO 8 counter assist is going to clear immunity, which is great, as well as applying defense down for 2 turns, heal block for 2 turns, disrupted for 2 turns, and slow for 2 turns. This guy's going to probably be assisting a lot. It's part of his passive. We'll get there in a second, but just keep in mind, clearing immunity and putting all those things out and it happening fairly often is disgusting. His special, Stars and Strikes, is a 5 for 5. Attack all enemies for 300 and clear all positive effects, as well as applying 1 vulnerable. And if you're in Crucible, apply a trauma for 2 turns. This attack cannot be dodged. His ultimate is Energy 6. You start with 4. You're going to flip Deflect and Minor Defect. You're going to apply 2 vulnerables, and you're going to apply Stun to the primary target. This also cannot be dodged. Now, his passive, the Iron Osborne, on spawn, apply vulnerable to all enemies. I'm saying this guy's doing a lot of vulnerable work. Gain assist now on each Cabal ally's turn. So anytime you have one of your Cabal going, now there's only 2 of them, but still, you're going to gain an assist, which means you're going to be clearing immunity and applying defense down for 2 turns, heal block for 2 turns, disrupted for 2 turns, and slow for 2 turns. That seems pretty damn good. You're also on turn, you're going to grant assist now to a random Cabal ally, and we're going to take a look at what Leader does when he gets to assist. So it's going to be a 50-50 shot whether you get Namor to assist or Leader to assist. Namor's assist isn't very impressive, but Leader's is quite nicely healing your team. Enemies with vulnerable take an additional 10% damage to a maximum of 30%, and as we just saw, we're going to be giving a lot of vulnerables out, and enemies cannot gain stealth, which we talked about a second ago. I really like. In Crucible, on villain ally crit, not Cabal, just villain, apply 1 vulnerable to all enemies. There's going to be a lot of vulnerables going around. There's going to be a lot of assists going around. There's going to be a lot of just nonsense happening, as well as dealing additional damage for each vulnerable. This guy's kit looks pretty interesting, and when you pair it with the Leader, it just gets better. Leader looks goofy as hell, I'm not gonna lie. He's not my style, but let's get right into it. He is a villain global support, and what a support. Bio Cabal Gamma, which is interesting because we're looking into whether or not that means you'll be able to use him to unlock Apocalypse. I think so, but we haven't had that confirmed yet. Not that I'm aware of, at least. His speed is a measly 107. His basic is going to heal self and all villain and gamma allies, as well as clearing 1 negative effect from self and all villain allies. Healing Gamma every time he does a basic attack seems pretty decent. So when we do an ISO 8 counterattack or an assist, you're also going to heal self and villain and Gamma. Now remember, Iron Patriot is going to ask for a Cabal member to do a assist with him. So this is going to happen relatively often, which is really nice. You're also going to flip 2 negative effects into positive effects on all Cabal allies and clear a negative from self and all villains. You can also gain stealth for 2 turns, so you're not going to be taking that many hits. Now again, he's a speed of 107, he's not going to be going that often, but this should trigger fairly well. His special costs 5 and you start with 5. It's going to apply 3 regeneration to yourself and all villain allies, as well as healing self and all allies for 20%. You're going to do, in Crucible, apply Safeguard to self and all villain and Gamma allies. Red Hulk with Safeguard is terrifying. Just saying. Mind over Matter for your ultimate. It's going to cost 7, but you're going to start with 5 of that. Apply Speed Up for 2 turns, counter to self and all villain allies. Clear Revive once from primary and adjacent targets. Very strong. As well as generating 3 ability energy for all Cabal, and in Crucible, creating another additional 3 ability energy for all villains. Now I looked at it, your Namor and your Iron Patriot are both going to be able to ultimate directly after this guy, even if they just ultimated. Yeah. So that's really potentially very strong that you could use ultimate on Namor, ultimate on Iron Patriot, ultimate on Leader, and then ultimate on Namor and ultimate on Iron Patriot again right away. Just nutty. For his passive on spawn, you're going to apply 3 evades. Now between his evades and his ability to gain stealth, this guy should be able to stick around for quite some time. Also, most of attacks heal or gain regeneration, so that's really good. You're also going to apply defense up for 2 turns to self and all villain allies. Now here's an interesting one. On spawn and on turn, gain 1 charge up to a maximum of 50 for the following. Each ally with a different class, Blaster, Brawler, Controller, Protector, Support. I can't remember. Have we ever seen something that actually calls that out before? That's interesting. As well as for each Cabal ally, as well as for each hero enemy, gain 2 instead of 1. So you're going to be climbing these relatively quickly if you build your team appropriately. And what are you going to do with all those charges? Well, for every 10, I believe it is, for every 5, my apologies, for every 5 charge, gain 5% crit chance, 5% crit damage, and 5% block chance for self and all villain allies. Potentially give you 50% of each of those things, which is really, really good. Enemies with vulnerable cannot gain safeguard, and if you're teaming with Iron Patriot, that's going to be everybody, so that's really strong. In Crucible characters, 2 more Cabal allies, enemies with vulnerable cannot gain safeguard. On spawn, apply 1 vulnerable to all enemies. Interesting. I don't know what the timing like that's going to be. Is that meaning that between these 2 characters, if you've got them on the same team in Crucible, your Infinity Watch can't spawn with Safeguard? Worth looking into. I don't have access to the test server, so I wasn't able to test that one out. Or I guess these characters aren't on my test server. So I wasn't able to test that one out, but that's got some serious potential. Alright, and then as far as Namor's update goes, he got some stat increases: health by 18, damage by 26, armor by 7, focus by 31, and resistance by 6. Nothing crazy. And his kit's pretty dry, to be honest. That was not unintentional. When this character performs an ISO 8 attack, counterattack, or assist, this character always crits and apply additional 2 bleeds. A lot of his attacks are going to deal with bleeds. That's really the only major difference of what we got going on here. Yeah, it's not exciting. He's the one you bring because you have to. He's not the one you bring because you want to. His ultimate will flip all positive effects on each target, which is really nice, as well as rewinding enemies by 50%, assuming they've got vulnerable, which with Iron Patriot they all should. So that's actually quite strong. The rest of his kit's kind of okay at best. Now, as far as how you're going to actually unlock these characters, it's going to be the same pack system that we've had before, except for this time there's only 2 characters, so there's only 2 pieces of gear you need to buy, making this presumably the cheapest of the suits yet to get. Now, I like the Green Goblin one quite a bit. I didn't like the Nova one at all, and you can see this one looks fine. I don't know, it doesn't really do it for me, but I mean, if it works for you, great. You can buy that as of March 15th, and if you want, you can also spend 675 power cores to open up an orb, which could potentially have 180 Iron Patriot shards. Not that I've ever been lucky enough to get something like that, but theoretically they're all there. There's going to be a showcase event for the Cabal. What you're going to require is for the test drive, nothing. It'll provide you everything you need there. For the story mode, you just need to be level 40, unlock your 5-character team made of any combination of Cabal or Sinister 6 characters, which are easy to get early game. For challenge mode, you will require Iron Patriot and Leader. For Cabal mode, you will need all 3. It's interesting that Namor's been out forever, but he's not required for the challenge mode, but whatever. You will need all 3 of them, as well as 2 other villains at level 5 yellow stars as gear tier 14. And for the bonus, you need 6 yellow stars and gear tier 16 on your 3 Cabal members, as well as 2 other villains. Crimson Gear is no longer called Demonic Gear. It is just Crimson Gear now. Certain people in the community were complaining that it just had a very negative connotation to it. Also, it seems a little bit short-sighted because, let's face it, unless the next character to come out is also demonic in some way, maybe Blackheart, something like that, it's going to just feel weird when you're getting all this demonic gear to put on your Spider-Man. I mean, augmented gear is one thing, superior gear, stuff like that, but demonic gear just seems very focused on this one character. Now, obviously, Mephisto is going to be a very big character. It's going to be a big part of the meta going forward, but it was a little... I don't know, it wasn't really my cup of tea, and apparently it wasn't other people's cup of tea as well, so they listened to the community and decided, you know what, let's just call it Crimson Gear and just avoid the whole thing. Incursion 2 difficulties. They're bringing out a couple of different difficulties going forward. You will have to hit certain milestones to unlock them, so you must reach 60% of normal difficulty to unlock difficulty 1, 70% completion of difficulty 1 will give you difficulty 2, and an 80% completion of difficulty 2 will unlock difficulty 3. All difficulties require Tier 2, Level 4, ISO 8, so be prepared for that. These incursions, well, all of Incursion 2, other than I think First Strike, are going to give you some amount of Crimson Gear, which is really, really nice. Now, after the kerfuffle with the leaderboard for Sword Satellite, they have decided to introduce a new tiebreaker update, which is essentially first person there with that score gets that prize. So if everybody gets the same 14 million points or whatever, the first person to do it gets first place, second person gets second, so it's essentially a race. So if you do want to get first up, you will need to do it faster than other people. You can't just do it at the same time and everybody dogpile that. So that's the change they're doing going forward. The anniversary event, Legacy of Strike, goes live on Monday. It's going to include the item Kestrel's helmet, which you will require if you want to get that diamond on Deathpool, as well as her new costume. So be on the lookout for those events coming out soon. All right, enough about all the kits. Let's get into some events. What we're looking at is Demonic Origins, where you're going to be wanting to snatch Anniversary Orb fragments from campaigns, as well as playing Cosmic Crucible to gain points on this. And this is going to start on Monday the 11th. Let's take a look at the chart. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice is that there are Crimson items available for us. Pretty much everything red on this chart is Crimson, so that's going to be amazing if you can make it down that far, and it is going to be pretty far down there, unfortunately. We will take a look at this math breakdown a little bit better on Monday when we know exactly how many Anniversary Orb fragments we're going to get from each campaign node, as well as the free claims we're going to get. But we can see that for battling in Cosmic Crucible, we're going to get 1,500 points. To a maximum of 27,000 points, which is a little bit weird that it put the maximum in there because that's literally 18 battles. That's all you can do. Oh no, I guess you could lose battles. That would count as well. Fine. Okay, you got me. So as long as you are doing, like, if you win every battle for your 3 Cosmic Crucible rounds, that's going to be your 27,000 point maximum. If you don't win, make sure you're at least losing to completion. You're not backing out. You should still be able to hit that 18 battles mark pretty easily. That'll give you 27,000 points, which right off the cuff we can see is almost milestone 12. Now, there's another 8 milestones after that. They're going to be harder to get. You're going to need to get those Anniversary Orbs, and there's probably a feeder event that we're going to look at in a second. But that's... Actually, that is... I don't know. We'll see how this event goes when we actually know some of the math. Forge is a newer character. I like that. Ghost Rider, Miss Marvel, and Photon are all good characters, but they have been out for a while now, and they've been farmable for a while now. So you should have those out, and 10 shards of them is kind of Peasley, so meh. The Astral Meteorite is going to be another 19,000 points away, so you have to work towards that. Gwenom and Void Knight are both really good characters that I don't have at 7 stars just yet. There's a Diamond Orb if you make it all the way to the bottom. But this crimson gear is, let's be honest, the real thing that we're going to be going for here. That's what we're going to be striving for. We'll check this out on Monday and see if it's actually likely that we're going to get any of it. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. All right, we were just talking about a feeder event, and here it is. What you're going to be doing is earning alliance credits by donating to your alliance. When you do that, you're going to get points just for one basis, unfortunately. But this is going to be a 7-day event, so you should be able to max this out fairly easily, and it's going to give you 12,000 demonic origin milestone points, which will really help you out in the main event. Now, you're going to get some augmented catalysts as well as some superior catalysts. Nothing terribly exciting, but not bad. Like, I always need catalysts, so it is nice to have them. I'm just not excited to be getting them. And the next event we're going to take a look at is the Machines of War. Now, what this is literally what we're doing right now, where you're just going to want to play war battles. You're going to want to do it with your out of time characters, specifically Black Knight at 567, Starbrand at 567, and Cosmic Ghost Rider at 567. If you can do that, you'll get more points. Work towards this as your alliance. It's going to last for 6 days, so you should be getting 3 wars in out of that. So this is probably relatively easy to at least max out your war battles and your out of time character points. Whether or not you can make it all the way down to 900,000 points at the bottom is really up to your alliance. You can also earn allied supply 4 orb fragments, which are actually not terrible. They're actually pretty decent orbs, but unless you're spending money, you're not probably going to get very many of those. So there's that. There's quite a few hourglasses on the line. There's a decent amount of gold, and there are up to 4 mega gold orbs on the line if you can make it down far enough, so that's pretty nice. And the quick rumble list this week is going to be the Young Avengers starting on Friday, as per usual. All right, that's it for the weekly blog. What do you guys think? Which character are you most excited for? Obviously, Mephisto is the best of the characters we mentioned, but you're also probably not playing with him for months and months and months to come. So is that Cabal team enough to tide you over, or is it kind of lackluster? For me personally, I really like Crucible, so I probably will enjoy this team quite a bit. But I can't say that any member on this team is like exciting for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the leader whatsoever, but their kits look cool, so I'm looking forward to it. If you want to hang out with me, you can do that live over at twitch.tv/TheMongoolie Make sure you hit that follow button. We did also start streaming over at kick.com/TheMongoolie I believe it is. You can hit the follow button over there as well. That would really help me out. I'd appreciate that. Or if you just prefer YouTube, hit the subscribe button here. If you made it this far in the video, you probably liked it. Hit the like button. Let me know that. Hit subscribe so you don't miss content going forward. And other than that, Commanders, we'll catch you next time. Good luck to you. Can't even do it. I can't do it with a straight face.